So there's this YouTuber named Miss Fox who made a very good Sonic Riders video. And with making a good Sonic Riders video, it means you'll have bad Sonic Racing Crossworlds takes. So today we're going to be reacting to those, because it's funny. Well, I try to make it funny. I don't know if I'm actually funny. Actually, I want you guys in the comments. Hey, was this video funny? What could have made this video funnier, you know? Because at the end of the day, your entertainment is what you're getting at us.
I've made no secret of my current financial situation, so it may not surprise you to learn that I was debating for months whether or not I should buy—
Oh, I love them, but they sound so pretentious and above it all. Okay, that being said, as a black man, as the blackest of black men, what I have to say about this is that we're skipping ahead to the more negative parts of the video, mostly because I agree with all the positive parts. So unless they literally just wanted me to play the entirety of the positive section without interruption, well then I'm going to skip it because I have a lot more to say about the negative points. Oh yeah.
After playing the game for a solid few hours, unlocking all the slots on the ability cards, and playing the stages beyond the 3 available in the single player, I can easily say that I just don't like Sonic Racing Crossworlds. The gameplay is just not for me, and so I don't really want to spend $70 or more on a game that I will probably never pick up after recording B-roll.
Yes, I understand that it's just not for you. Just not for you. But, on the other hand, you have to understand and realize that putting an opinion on the internet will cause another opinion to be put on the internet reacting to your opinion. And then we go in circles until one of us stops responding or one of us moves on. I'm probably going to move on after I finish this video. I don't really think that hard about the people I talk about.
Shying away from their colorful cast. I generally like the track aesthetics as well, even if Colorful Mall really does feel like a blatant rip-off. I do also appreciate the return of extreme gear, even if they are just an aesthetic. And with that, I've concluded the nice things I have to say about Sonic Racing Crossworlds.
Okay, let's be very, very clear about this. Extreme gear is the worst thing to play if you're trying to have good handling, good speed, good acceleration. Alright, if you wanted any of those to feel like really good to play, you would play a handling vehicle, you would play a speed vehicle, you would play an acceleration vehicle. They weren't playing any of those. They were playing the boost type vehicle where all the other stats are drastically lowered and you raise them by using the different characters, which is okay. It's okay to do that. But also, you have to understand when you actually use stuff like that, it tends to just make it to where you're not going to have a good time because you're playing the vehicle that's the hard mode of the game and you're telling people that the game is bad because you're playing the hard mode. Let's be insanely clear. You don't have to play the easier modes in order to understand the hard mode, but it will become very readily apparent that some of their issues with the game come from the fact that they were using extreme gear instead of other vehicles.
Loadouts as well as saved custom vehicles to make getting into races faster. This is game design I've specifically asked for, so I need to commend a job well done on this one. I can't give full marks for the abilities loadout, however. I don't appreciate needing to complete 12 races in order to fully unlock all the ability slots. Given that you already have to keep racing to unlock better abilities, this seems needlessly tedious. Since you're starting out with such strict limitations, it hampers the first impression significantly.
They do that because, one, you have little gadgets to work out with from the start, so most of the races come down to the items, right? Most of the races just come down to the items, and as you get in further into the game, you start getting those gadget slots that manipulate your ability to win in your favor. It takes everything in the game and it says, hey, you can turn this in your favor, this in your favor, this in your favor. The game at the start is trying to teach you that you need these gadgets, and the gadgets are really, really, really good to be using them. There's no reason not to use them. That is what the beginning of the game is for. And the moment I realized this, is the moment where you go into your first race and you don't equip any gadgets because you assume that everything is going to be kind of like Mario Kart Wii or something like that. You expect things to be like that. You get in, you get absolutely destroyed. You get 12th place. Some people don't do that, but like I did. And you get in there, you get 12th place, and you're like, damn, I do actually need these gadgets. It's really, really, really good way to teach the player that these gadgets are important, and the gadgets control the balancing, and the balancing doesn't control the gadgets.
In concept, you have 6 ability slots to choose from in order to customize your loadout, but in practice, you only have 3. This is due to one specific 3-cost ability, Enhanced Damage Recovery. As many have noted even before the network test, items are incredibly pervasive throughout the game, and offensive items can feel downright oppressive with how long they make you recover before you regain control. The Enhanced Item Recovery ability is like night and day, which is a problem. Most other abilities allow you to pick a specific mechanic or stat to enhance, and they're balanced by the fact that you aren't always using those mechanics. Increased air trick speed, for instance, allows you to maximize your trick boosts, but since you aren't constantly surrounded by ramps, you aren't constantly in an advantage state. Enhanced slipstreams and bumper boosting are great for catching up when you're behind, but do nothing when you're in first place. Items are always a threat, no matter what part of any track you're on, and no extra ability is better than minimizing item threat.
They showed me the worst gameplay known to man, and knowing this, there's a issue with their gameplay. Look at their gadget slots. Their gadget slots don't reflect what they're actually talking about. They didn't use any gameplay clips to show they got hit by an item and they recovered. They don't even show a point where they're using the recovery as a recovery tool later in the gameplay, from what I can recall, because the gameplay is so bad I just don't remember all of it. Okay, the gameplay is just bad in general. But another thing you have to realize is that they have the +1 charge and they have the 2 trick ramps. Okay, one, never use the 2 trick ramps at the same time. That is a bad move. What you're going to want to do is use the technical drift in order to make sure that you hit that 4 slot consistently. You're going to be using that 4 slot in order to constantly get your +4 drift, and use the +4 drift in order to dodge other mechanics like the saw blade and the rocket punch. That's what you want to do. Because when you don't do that, you have issues. You don't only have to use the +3 recovery gadgets, mind you, you can also use a power vehicle. Power vehicles recover way quicker, and when you have yourself being in first place a lot because you're using extreme gear, you hit the back of the line, you're losing that race. It doesn't matter how hard you try, you're going to lose that race. So your goal isn't only to have good recovery, your goal is to be able to dodge certain things. It's the fist, and there's another thing that you can't dodge, but everything in this game can be dodged by a well-timed wisp boost, and they don't ever show this in gameplay. I have no idea why. Like, people complain about the items in this game being too plentiful, but it's about the fact that they don't have enough skill to save their boost wisp and actually use them in different ways, right? You're not always going to have the skill to hit that +4 charge every time, and you're not always going to have the skill to remember to keep that wisp on you, but it's a very bad thing to criticize a game when you don't have the ability to understand the mechanics, because you don't really want to understand how the mechanics are formed or folded. What you want to do is get into the game with the max stats, max fucking playable characters, max everything, and say, hey, I had a good time. Well, the game is not that way, and it's good that people are actually seeing that the game is actually going to be a lot more difficult than Mario Kart. It actually is a lot more difficult than Mario Kart based on the half-an-hour gameplay I played.
This is probably the most unbalanced decision in the game. If you have the enhanced recovery ability and others don't, then you have essentially chosen to balance the game in your favor, since items simply hurt you less. There aren't even any negative trade-offs to this ability, it just makes offensive items used against you less potent. This ability feels like such a centralizing mechanic that it seems like it shouldn't be an ability at all. The better course of action would have simply been to reduce the potency of item damage, rather than making that balancing decision an equipable ability. All other abilities center around choosing your playstyle and which specific mechanics you want to engage with most. But the reduced item damage feels more like choosing whether or not you're playing with a post-launch balance patch.
Whether it's the Metal Harbor Gap, whether it's the +1 boost charge, whether it's the colorful mall skip, whether it's the Wisp, whether it's any of the other plentiful ways to dodge mechanics within this game, here's the issue. Every single last one of them takes some level of skill, except for the Boost Wisp. Every single last one of them takes skill, and this person doesn't have the skill in order to make those dodges possible. Now, is this a their fault problem? Kind of. It's kind of like Sonic Riders in a way, where a lot of people think that game is bad because it is unintuitive, but the unintuitivity is a part of the skill gap. You have to learn to be intuitive and learn to feel out the game and understand what you need to do. It's very, 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 very fun to learn how a mechanic works instead of having it taught to you, right? Stuff like this is literally why like Souls games that don't teach you how to play the game are way more fun than the ones that do.
I also want to touch on the air trick system, which, bafflingly, does away with the risk-reward system. This isn't even me complaining that the game isn't like Sonic Riders. Team Sonic Racing, the previous Sonic Kart racer, had a risk-reward system with the air tricks. Doing more tricks is supposed to maximize your trick boost. In previous Sonic Racing games, landing in the middle of a trick would slow you down and you wouldn't get any boost. This meant you had to be aware of your vehicle's falling speed and do some quick calculations in your head about how many tricks you could fit into a jump. You couldn't just roll the control stick mindlessly, you had to engage with the mechanic and learn its intricacies. Now there's no penalty for starting tricks too late, the tricks just won't start if you're about to land. You can, as I often did, just mindlessly roll the sticks to perform maximal tricks with no consequence.
Okay, so let me make this very clear to you. Most people who complain about tricks in Sonic Racing Crossworlds also complain about the item balancing. The risk to the tricks are the other players spamming items at you while you do the mid-tricks due to the recovery animations. There's a lot of risk and reward in this game, and most of the risk and most of the reward are very, very strange and very, 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 very good to get into. I think most people who drop this game will be very, very, very disappointed with the balancing of the game and probably didn't engage with the mechanics that much. But if you engage with the mechanics in the ways that they need to be engaged with in order for you to, get better and better, well then you have a way better time. Also, they don't talk about the desync issues, okay? Have you noticed that? They haven't talked about desync at all in this video. Anyway, moving on, back to the video. I want you to watch the end of the video by yourself because it's about the, accessibility options. And I think that having a person talk about accessibility options who can't play the game is way more interesting than watching me talk about accessibility options, a person who can play the game. That's it. That's literally it. Like, sub, comment, and do whatever you need to do in order to make sure you can keep up with the content. I know most people don't actually care about the content itself, but the goal is to have fun, and as long as I'm having fun and you're having fun, we can have fun together.